Uncharted 4 on the PS4. Graphics, graphics, graphics. Well, you know what, Sony? You can take those graphics and stick it up your ass. Graphics don't matter that much to me anymore. In 2014, you guys are talking about graphics. You had the world premiere of Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, right? A Thief's End. That's the big title. I'm reading this GameSpot article, and they basically are showing a bunch of images from Uncharted 4. They basically have these stills and these promotional images regarding the model and the details and the intricate features on the, you know, the graphical improvements, trying to show off the next gen capabilities or the current gen capabilities of the PlayStation 4. And they really focus a lot on the high-def, incredibly detailed models and the facial structure of Nathan Drake. You know, these character models are so freaking fancy now because they're so much more advanced compared to the last gen. Compared to the last gen, the PS4 graphics are on another level, basically. On the next level. There's so much more. You know what? I watched the video. I watched Uncharted 4, A Thief's End gameplay footage. I seen it. It's not that much different from the previous games. It looks more of the same. It looks more of the same shit we've seen and played in the past 7+ years that this franchise has been around. And I like Uncharted. I like Uncharted. I don't want to come on here sounding like I'm just bashing it. But the reality is that they're talking so much and hyping up so much about the fucking graphics and the images and all these stills that they released. You know, GameSpot over here talking about overall, Naughty Dog says it was aiming for a filmic, cinematic look for Uncharted 4. Well, no shit. They all look like cinematic movies anyway. They all feel like a movie when you play them. And the way it's presented, it's very film-esque. God damn it. God fucking damn it. Everything is graphics now. Everything is fucking graphics now. The PlayStation Experience presentation was focused on technical advancements and not much about the game's story. However, Naughty Dog said previously that Uncharted 4 will be a more personal story that dives into what kind of effect this journey has on Drake and the people around him. The Uncharted 4 character model depicts a more aged version of the well-known treasure hunter. His face is bruised and he looks pained. Well, he better look fucking pained. This guy goes through all kinds of crazy shit in the games. He's getting shot at. He's getting beaten up. He's fighting all these bad guys. He's got to deal with henchmen left, right, and center. Not to mention he has to parkour his way around these fucking environments, these miraculous adventures that he does. You know, somehow he's able to survive, like some unbeatable, you know, invincible man. Of course, Nathan Drake has to look like he's a little bit stressed out, a little bit more, you know, worn out and fucking bruised and shit. No, it's just, you know what, there's no need to even, like, focus on the graphics now. It says right here, oh, Uncharted fans will definitely want to watch the hour-long video. No, we don't. I'm an Uncharted fan. I don't give a fuck about the hour-long video, about behind-the-scenes footage. Yeah, they're talking about this behind-the-scenes thing, modeling Nathan Drake, bringing an iconic character to PS4, and how the artists and the modelers give a fuck. I don't care. I don't give a shit about the modeling of this character. It doesn't matter. It's all about the final product. The gameplay. The fucking gameplay is what matters the most. And I'm looking at this trailer video, this 15-minute footage on the PlayStation Experience, and there's really nothing that stood out. He had a little lasso thing, that little kind of thing where he, it looks like he jumped off the ledge. He was gonna fall, but then it looked like he lassoed it, like kind of a Spider-Man kind of thing, and then he jumped on the enemy. So that was kind of cool. And the enemies still act the same. They still, shooting at you and shit. You get to sneak around, hide behind rocks and shit like that. And then you shoot them with a gun. And it looks just as comical as ever. There's one thing that bothered me about the Uncharted series. I mean, I like the Uncharted series. Overall, quality series. But it has its flaws. And one thing that really bothered me was the shooting mechanics of the game in terms of killing all these people. You're gunning them down, but for some reason it feels PG. It feels very, for lack of a better word, it doesn't feel violent for some reason. It looks violent. It looks, the blood comes out and there's a little bit of blood. There's a little bit of a very violent scenes in there where he's gunning down these people, shooting them point blank range, right in the head. He's capping these guys, he's fucking clapping these motherfuckers, these enemies that pop up, these henchmen. But it just doesn't feel violent. It's not gritty. It's lacking a grittiness to it. It doesn't have like a Killzone kind of thing, or even something like COD, Call of Duty. It doesn't have, nowhere near the level of violence of God of War, or a game like that, a game like Manhunt, for example. It's more along the same lines as GTA, if that makes any sense. Grand Theft Auto feels very cartoonish, despite having a very realistic aesthetic, a very realistic graphics. Uncharted is the same way. Uncharted has a very realistic look. The environments, especially with Uncharted 4, it does look good. The graphics are very impressive. It looks very detailed, and it looks better than pretty much anything on the PS3, on the last gen Uncharted games. But that's to be expected. That being said, graphics isn't everything. And in terms of having a realistic look, it still feels cartoonish. It still looks cartoonish. It still has the way that the CPU sells the fucking shot in the head, the way they fall, the animation, the way that the animation fucking makes it look so unbelievably cartoonish. That's the best way I can describe it. It always has this fake, plasticky feel to it. And not so much about aesthetic, just the way it comes across. You're shooting at an enemy, you shoot him in the head, and he just kind of, like, falls over. He just kind of... there's no bone fragments, Like, you don't see the guy's head split open, and you don't see the guy's head burst into, like, shattering his skull and his bone fragments flying everywhere, or his, like, brain matter splattering everywhere in a very gruesome, realistic way. Like in real life, it doesn't happen like that. They get shot in the face, but they just kind of fall on the floor like a mannequin. Like you just drop the mannequin on the ground, and that's it. They just lie there. A little blood will splurt out, a little like blood animation, like almost like the guy was spitting out water or something like that. But that's about it. It's kind of like red sweat. That's the best way I can describe the blood in Uncharted. It's like red sweat. It's like if somebody was sweating a lot and then you slapped them in the face, and then the sweat kind of like flies everywhere, like ah. Yeah, but that's kind of like what this game is. You shoot somebody in the head, some red sweat kind of flies out of their face, and it's not exactly gritty. It doesn't have a very accurate depiction of like real life shootings and killings and murders or anything like that. That's the only thing that really bothers me about the Uncharted series, is just the lack of grittiness. It looks realistic, sure, but it doesn't feel realistic. It feels so goddamn cartoonish. If you took the character models in this game and replace them with very cartoon-like characters, anthropomorphic animals or something like that, like take out Nathan Drake and replace him with Mario, and then you take out the enemies, the human-looking enemies, and replace them with something like Sonic the Hedgehog, So Mario is shooting, you know, Sonic-looking characters in the game, and that would be it. You know, they would just kind of fall over, and it would have like these cartoonish effects, and it just doesn't feel like a realistic setting. I don't know. It just looks like they haven't fixed that problem with Uncharted 4. It's more of the same thing. You're beating up an enemy, taking his weapon, and shooting them in the shooting them to death because they're shooting back at you, and they target you, and you gotta, you know, crouch behind a fucking thing. There's a cover system is back. Everything, it just feels so familiar with this thing. It looks familiar. It's kind of like with God of War 3. You know, remember back in 2010, I think, when God of War 3 came out. But even before that, like maybe a year and a half, when they would put out the God of War 3 trailer, the demo, and it wasn't... It looked more of the same like in the previous God of War games. You know, God of War 1, God of War 2 on the PS2. And then when they finally announced God of War 3 on the PlayStation 3, like then, oh, holy shit, we got a next-gen PS3 God of War game now. Wow. But the gameplay felt so similar to the previous games, despite having obviously better-looking graphics. It still felt familiar. I think that's what Uncharted 4 is definitely going to be. It's nothing. It's not going to be so different from the previous games in terms of gameplay. You're still jumping from ledges to ledges. You're hopping these gaps in these fucking mountainous regions, and you're climbing these forest-ridden areas and these jungles, and you're still kind of doing the same thing with Uncharted 4. So, will it be a decent game? I hope it's better than Uncharted 3, because Uncharted 3, I think, was the weakest from the first, the original trilogy. Very good trilogy still, but the first one and the second one, especially the second one, was the best one in the series. The third one, not as strong. You know, the storyline wasn't as good. The level designs weren't as interesting. And with Uncharted 4, hopefully it's better. It looks like they're going back to that gritty jungle environment. Maybe a little bit of Uncharted 2 in this one. Hopefully. I'm hoping for the best with this game. It does look pretty good, but at the same time, I'm not expecting this to be, you know, the best game of the year when it comes out. I can't imagine this being better than Uncharted 2, to be honest. I think Uncharted 2 has set the standard. It still is the best Uncharted game in the series, was Uncharted 2. I don't think Uncharted 4 is going to top it. If it does, great. But if it doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I'm expecting it to be like an 8 out of 10 kind of thing. Maybe like a 7.5, 8 out of 10. I just hope this game is somewhat on the level of Uncharted 1, the first Uncharted. Thanks for watching The Review Space, the most underrated channel on YouTube. For more videos, check out youtube.com/TheReviewSpace.